feedback should serve a purpose, right? That feedback should serve a purpose to make that person better.
Hey, we are coming to you guys today with some tidbits about feedback. Love it or hate it, feedback it is.
It's really funny. We had this conversation with Will and Richie right before we did this. And Richie says that he can give me feedback, and then 5 minutes later, Will give me the same feedback, and I take it completely different. That's probably true. Honestly, it's probably true, and I'm being very honest here, very open. But feedback, I think it's so important, and I think it's something that sometimes it's tough for us to hear. And I think sometimes I just feel, honestly, from Richie, it just seems more personal to me. And it shouldn't be at all. That's totally on me, right? It's not on him whatsoever. It's 100% on me, but it just feels more personal, I guess. But when it comes from, Will or Becky, it just seems like, I don't know, it's more professional. So, but sometimes it is hard, right? Because we always want to think we're doing great. We're doing all the things. But, sometimes we do have room for opportunity. So, Becky, what do you think? I mean, am I on the right track here, or what do you think about it?
Well, so look, there's difference in like giving and receiving feedback personally and then professionally, right? Like I just can't help it. It just is. The thing that I feel like from a feedback, I would say it's hard because it's harder personally because there's an emotional attachment there, right? Like you automatically have like the feedback that he might give me right now about what I'm doing. What's the word I want to use? I don't want to say it has baggage, but there's more that goes into that feedback right then. So for example, if Will says to me, your videos are too long, which he gave me some of that feedback. And I was like, well, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So like the feedback that I heard was, you're taking up too much time and what. So like all the things that I think that he is trying to say, like, give me good feedback. All the other stories that we've been like, working through and all the other conversations, I'm pulling that into this, and it really has nothing to do with that. So I think feedback from a personal perspective is definitely different. Still important, guys, still important. Yes. But, it is, sometimes I think that there's just more to it than that. On the flip side, I think we all have, well, let me not say all of us, because I personally have a huge opportunity when it comes to receiving feedback better. I want it, and I'll even say it out loud. Like, I really do want the feedback, but, it stings a little bit.
No, totally. Because we want to feel like we're doing the best, and we're giving our heart and soul into this every single week. We want to feel like we're giving a great job. And if somebody comes to us and says, well, I didn't really get what you were saying, I almost take it personally, and I shouldn't at all. But I'm being real. I mean, I do, I'm like, well, why didn't you like it? What didn't you like about it?
Yeah. But I think what's important in those times is, and this is like what I continue to try to remind myself, this is really good data that's coming in, right? Whether it's, from us, running a business, if it's from us, in our day jobs, if it's anything, right? Like it's always just data. And sometimes it's even just somebody else's opinion that doesn't come with any weight whatsoever, which I think what I'm really passionate about, helping people to identify what does good feedback look like, right? How can we give good feedback? And one of the first things that I would say in giving good feedback is that it doesn't come from a place of, because I'm right and you're wrong. You know what I mean? It comes more from a place of, this is what I'm observing. This is the impact that it's having. And maybe this is a solve that you can put in place.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think Will hit on this in a couple of one of the interviews that he and Richie did, is that, you should never give the same feedback or approach people the same way. So you have to be really careful about that. And I think that, for years in leadership, we just, treated all of our employees the same and thought that was going to be great. It's not great, guys. I mean, we have to tailor our conversations to our staff. in our people. I mean, we really do. And we have to approach them in a way that they're going to be open, right? And if you come in, and you come in harsh and just very direct with some people, that will completely shut them down. And then they're not going to hear anything that you had to say in that conversation. So I think that, knowing your people is very, very important, obviously, when you're giving feedback. And just, again, like Becky said, don't come in it as a place that I'm right and you're wrong, but hey, maybe we can try this. Maybe you can think about this approach. And just come in it like that. But just knowing who you're talking to, knowing your audience is really, really important when you're giving that feedback.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, Billy, too, is, we've got to make sure that not just are they, we got to make sure they're prepared to hear, right? Like, I think that that's a big one is, if somebody comes to you on something that you've just done, and you might know it's right. Like if somebody comes to me and says, okay, this is the feedback I need to tell you, and it's something that I just did, and I knew that I could have done it better. Like I've already beaten myself up over that, right? I don't need you to continue to tell me what I didn't do wrong or right. Now I do need that because I want to grow, but I think to be mindful of like asking your people, right? Are you open to feedback? Because sometimes, more often than not, they're going to say yes. But if they're at a place where they're not going to be able to hear you, you might as well not even give the feedback, right? Because actually you're going to diminish the relationship more so by giving the feedback now, because you don't have that. What is it, Billy? We were talking about a few minutes ago, that self-awareness.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if you don't have the self-awareness, then what I'm going to say is, well, you don't even have the knowledge to recognize how I feel to even know that I'm open or not open to the feedback right now. So really the feedback that you're giving me, it doesn't matter either. So I think this is a really important one. What are your thoughts on self-awareness when it comes to feedback, Billy?
Oh, absolutely. I was just, as you were talking, I was just thinking about, I was at a meeting one time and I went up and spoke. And immediately I sat down at my table. I think it was a chamber luncheon. And somebody at the table said, do you care if I give you some feedback? And I was like, no, I would love that. And he immediately gave it to me, but I was open to it. It was somebody I looked up to. I think that's a part of it too, is that you need to have a relationship. If you're just going to offer some feedback to somebody, why are you the subject matter expert? Who are you to give that feedback? I think you need to be careful with that. But yeah, I think you need to come from a place of just being open, especially if you're a leader. I think you definitely have to be open to feedback, especially from your team. And that can be hard sometimes, right? I mean, sometimes we don't want our team to tell us, hey, you could have handled this differently, but in all actuality, we probably could have. So I think just having that openness and just saying, okay, I want to do better, so I need to hear this stuff. So I think that's absolutely part of it. And self-awareness absolutely is key. You have to understand where the person's coming from, but you also have to be open to that feedback too, and just be ready to implement it. Because if they're coming to you, that means they care enough about you to let you know.
Yeah.
And so, you should accept that. Now, if, again, like Becky said, is right versus wrong, or is it coming from a place of kindness, right? If they're coming to you and it's an opinion and it has no weight or merit, take it with a grain of salt, right? But if it's coming from a place of kindness and, wanting to help and grow you, then absolutely take it.
Yeah. The other thing that I'll say as far as like what I think about from a feedback perspective, I talk a lot about this in the coaching, is that not all conversations when like you're working with your team have to be like that feedback, or like there's different, what I would say, styles or types of conversations. So, sometimes it's a training conversation, right? To say, okay, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Now show me that you know how to do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes it needs to be okay, what are your thoughts on this? So more of a coaching, asking questions to try to understand, why it is that you're doing the things that you're doing. And then a feedback is, this is the way I need you to do it. Or this is the way, from the perspective that I'm coming from, that would be, the best for you to approach it. So I think like it's really important just to keep in mind, like not all conversations require feedback. Right. And I think we as leaders have to get better at how we give feedback. That can make or break people. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Billy was saying is like, not just your relationship with them. It could also, depending on what kind of feedback you're giving, they could be in a an interesting place themselves, and that could just continue to kind of tear them down. And that's not what we want to do as leaders. We want to build people up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Feedback should serve a purpose, right? That feedback should serve a purpose to make that person better. And if it doesn't, then maybe you shouldn't tell them. Honestly, I think, that's criticism. That's not feedback. Feedback is something that is going to make you better. And if it doesn't, then maybe you shouldn't have that conversation.
Yep. Yeah. You can keep it internally.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. But we do appreciate your feedback.
Yes, we welcome it.
We do. And seriously, we hope that you guys are enjoying our tidbits. If you have any feedback for us, please feel free to offer it. We are excited to continue to bring tidbits. So if you guys have things specifically that you want to see or hear kind of in our next sessions or so, feel free to reach out and let us know. Anything else, Billy, that I'm missing from a tidbit perspective that we need to make sure to remind them?
I don't think so. I think just maybe, like us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, go to our YouTube channel, YouTube, and subscribe. That way you get notifications. And so we have some really exciting things coming up. So we'll be sharing some more of that with you guys as well. So I think that's it for now.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. Well, you guys have a great day, and we will chat with you soon.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Bye.